Mark Colvin, and joining me live in studio, our Assistant Town Manager, Mark Ells. Mark, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. I love this spring-like weather. It's fantastic.
I know. It just feels like March, April, which
Yes.
it almost, we're here, and that's great. We keep our fingers crossed about snow here. We can still get a little, but
yes.
I saw some people taking plows off of trucks yesterday.
Oh, good.
So I said, wow.
That's a good
That's
sign
wonderful.
for sure.
Exciting.
We love it. So there are a lot of things to talk about. I want to talk a little bit about last week's town council meeting that you attended. Highlights from that meeting.
Well, they approved grant funding for the dog park. As people may or may not be aware, there's a proposed dog park out off of Finney's Lane, heading north of 132. And we had pursued a grant with the Stanton Foundation. We also have a very active dog park group that will be intimately involved in the management of it, though it has to be located on a town parcel, and the town has to be the applicant for this grant.
Of course.
So they had given us a $5,000 donation grant that the town council had accepted. That's the dog park group. And we had gone forward with a design, submitted for a design. The first phase of eligibility with the Stanton Foundation is to get your design approved and funded. And so that's what last night's money was. We got Stanton's approval, and then we had to bring that back and have town council approve it. So we'll complete the design and then submit. And the way that it works is they fund I believe about 90% of the construction, and then I believe, if the program's the same as it was when we started this, about 2 years of operations they help with. So we'll be looking again for a match from this, the dog park group, relative to the 10% on construction, which I believe they have said they have, and then moving forward longer term with the management of it.
Absolutely.
So it's a very positive thing. A lot of people with dogs have been asking this ever since we restricted walking hours on the beaches. That's probably a decade ago. This has been a discussion item. So, and a lot of other communities our size and of our type, have these facilities. So we're excited that we're moving forward with this.
Absolutely. Well, I know that Yarmouth Dog Park opened at the beginning of the summer, and it's so super popular. It's busy all the time. People love to bring their dogs, so it'll be a great place for our dogs to go and play here in town.
Yes.
Looking forward to that. Anything else from town council? I know
there was a continuation of some tax incentive financing. Actually, the Youth Commission did a wonderful job, as they always do, in their presentation of who they are, what they do, and gave us a little bit into the Youth Summit, which is coming up in March, and they didn't even want to touch on what they envision for next year. So it's just wonderful to see the youth so engaged in our community, and certainly in our form of government. It's
Absolutely.
wonderful.
And then, of course, prior to the town council meeting, the homelessness subcommittee met. The town council
Yes.
homelessness subcommittee
Yes.
met. I know you were in attendance at that meeting, providing a report, I believe, on some outreach workers. So tell me a little bit about what's happening within that group right now, and what some of the issues are that are being discussed.
Well, I think the specific focus of the group was to talk about the type of action items that we see us embarking on. The town manager asked me to sit on the Cape Cod Regional Network for Homelessness, which brings together communities and the county and the various providers that are out there, people from our legal system, people from our educational systems, to talk about the specific issue and what our individual efforts are, and then collectively how we are moving toward, actually they put in place a 10-year program, which is, I think has been around for 10 years, as to how we could collectively move forward in addressing this issue. So I've got that bigger picture perspective. Now our town council's created a subcommittee, and we're talking about specific tasks. What are we going to achieve? How are we going to move forward on issues such as camps that we have, where people live in conditions that are, completely unacceptable, and then not just what are we going to do about them as far as, eliminating them, let's say, but what are we going to do about them as far as moving people in a positive direction so that they can be brought to perhaps the right level of treatment, or have an outreach worker kind of work with them if they want to, and that's one of the challenges in dealing with this issue. And at that meeting, HAC actually, Rick Presbury had stepped up, and we had been asking for an outreach worker, and he announced at that meeting that they were able to obtain funding, and so there will be an outreach worker. We're also talking with the Duffy Center about that same issue, because we want to make sure that as we begin these efforts that we see a beginning and hopefully a positive end to it. And these are human beings, same as you and I, that we want to see come out of this, in as positive a place as they can. So we kind of have to think through that whole spectrum. And that's what the group was doing. We set some objectives. We all agreed that, okay, we don't want to have false starts here. We don't want to be putting, effort towards something that won't yield where we want to go. So we're going to have some objectives in place specific to our police department and specific to organizing these agencies and these other regional entities that are out there, so that we can collectively address it in a way that brings us to that end. And I don't always see that happening. I see a lot of resources and a lot of individual groups doing good things, but I think if we can come together with a uniform plan, especially here in Barnstable and right here in Hyannis, I think we can see a more effective use of those resources, and we hope to do that.
Absolutely, and I think there's no real cookie cutter for the client or the person who is homeless. It's a wide range of issues, a wide range of reasons why they've ended up in that situation. So to be able to, as you say, kind of consolidate all of the people that are doing good and make sure that they are working as effectively as they possibly can is important.
It is, and I think right now we're very much on short term, but we've got to broaden it certainly to medium and long term, and a big piece of this is going to be where people live, and we need to look at the housing component of it here on Cape Cod. Work with the various county agencies and commissions that we have, and look to our other communities and partner with them and begin to address this issue, because we just can't do it all here within Barnstable, nor should we.
Absolutely.
And so we have to have real discussions beyond our village or our town boundaries on that issue, and we've started those discussions, so I expect that we'll have a lot more of them.
Absolutely. Last thing I wanted to talk about is e-permitting. Of course, it's a very exciting day today because we've been talking about this for a long time and working on it for a long time. It's been live internally. Today is the day it goes live to the public, correct?
Yes, it's plumbing, gas, and electric went live today, so that's the way contractors, and this is specific to contractors because only licensed licensed individuals or companies in those areas can apply for those. That's the way it was when it was manual, and that's the way it is when it's online. We expect to be able to, at this point, as we move through March, we're going to be looking at a lot of those types of permits that commercial entities would apply for, and we'll turn those on. And really, that's where we're at with this now. We're at a point where we can basically turn on each of these permits. Everything behind it is set up and in place. And then April will be looking at the more residential side of it. And as we move through it, we're very careful to understand how it works, how our customers responding to it, modifying if necessary. And I think in general people have been very satisfied so far internally. Now hopefully we'll hear that it's the same when we're going outside and making it available to all those who want to apply for a permit.
Wonderful. So exciting to see this, and I think it's going to streamline things, and I think it's smart to be rolling it out in small increments so that you can see if there are any of those bugs that may occur or how people are using them, that you're not, you don't have a huge number of things on the table. It's those more specific items.
We've been spending, when I say we, it's between our regulatory services and our information systems department, looking at issues like a link to the GIS. Some people have suggested the geographic information system, meaning when you're using this and you're the inspector and you want to say, okay, here's the property, you can actually just click on it, and it took longer, and some of them weren't accurate. So we straightened most of that out, and we're straightening it out. We also had some questions about is it taking longer to access information through the cloud than it would be through a local network, and we've looked at that. And so I think we're getting these little bugs out internally, and it's been good that we took the time to do it this way.
Excellent. Well, Mark, I thank you so much for taking the time to join us here on Barnstable this
Thanks
morning.
for having me.
Thank you. Mark Ells, of course, our Assistant Town Manager, Interim Superintendent of Schools. Bill Butler is next. Stay tuned for more.